Hella cats, they said podcast, the podcast for energy. For energy, podcast for energy. Hella cats, they said podcast, ain't gonna be fair, no hold back. Energy, planted by every basis of all. Hella cats are gonna show you the way. Podcast for the people, we flying high with energy. Society and the remedy. Hellacast, community, reality, we stick it together as a nation. Hellacast, passion, podcast for fashion. We do it now with the real youth. Who knows the day? Who wants this?
Who's introducing? I am.
You done? I did my intro.
No, you have to start.
Are we starting?
Welcome.
Why are you speaking to my knee?
Now you must speak it.
Bro, pick it up.
Oh yeah. Guys, welcome to today's episode. We are at PTA. We're shooting somewhere where it's nice. You see, there's waterfall. Things are, breathing nicely.
New location,
So
secret location.
Yeah, secret location. This is where you can find us. Welcome. Welcome to today's episode. This is Malume Tabiso Fetu, Pine the Energy Mix. Aware.
Hi everyone, hi guys. Gipenyo, aka the last born, as you know.
Yeah.
Ting ting.
Ting.
Hi guys. This is Smoother here, aka Smoother,
Aware.
We are still on the subscribe, So guys, like, subscribe and engage. We are here. I think the last we spoke about the SAYNPS Summit, so we are here.
Yeah.
It is backstage or what, but we are here.
Yeah, we are here.
Just some. We are within, we are within. I even got some SAYNPS match here, So
I forgot my match.
We are within, but welcome, guys. We can reflect on just the happenings of the summit. Started yesterday, so I mean, the theme is just energy transition. And I think at some point we did reflect on something related to the just energy transition, net zero goals. So I think it's just that reflection. So with the just, can I grab it? And then I will have the ghost there.
Let me tell the ghost to introduce himself right here.
This is the ghost. What's up guys? I'm still with the guys. I'm still the ghost. Welcome to the episode of the podcast. Thank you.
Yeah. Alright. Okay, so we're having a summit. I think it's a 3-day event, right? It's a 3-day event. 2 days. Okay.
Yeah, it's 3 days.
3 days.
Oh yeah, there's an extra day somewhere, and then they're going to do outreach. So we got an opportunity to interact with the members of SAYNPS. I think it was fun. In the previous episode, we did indicate that we might attend, and luckily we managed to attend the event itself. So I think like Sbuda, as you were saying, it would have been nice to reflect just on the how the event went by, the things that were discussed, or rather the topics that were discussed. I think we learned quite a lot, especially because yesterday I didn't attend much of the event. So probably if you can just fill us in, how was and we'll probably get 1 or 2 guys who are still here, the members, just to fill us in on some of the things that they spoke about. So just tell us, man. What's your take on it? I don't know, Penny, would you like to start first?
I'll just fill in wherever he's probably just working.
Why do you wanna fill in? You don't wanna start.
Fill up the table.
You wanna start, but you want to finish. So yes, the theme of the conference. It's I'm not used to these things.
We're used to that.
They have to forgive me, But just to reflect, the theme of the summit itself, it's just energy transition, JET in short. And I think a lot of people, even yesterday, they were kind of surprised because they've been hearing jet talk, but it's just energy transition, you know.
Because we thought we were talking about aeroplanes.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Some private jet nyana, you know. Yeah, but just energy transition. I think if you at the energy discourse in the country and internationally, you hear a lot of just energy transition. You hear a lot of net zero goals, and that is coming back to the COP 26 and the COP 27 that happened last year. You know, certain commitments in terms of the net zero goals of 2050, and the net zero goal being zero carbon emissions by 2050. You know, CO2 emissions. You know, so the just energy transition itself is just a machinery of how you achieve the net zero goals. Yeah. So basically yesterday we had different speakers engaging on the just energy transition, and the theme is transitioning with the youth basically. So in essence, no one left behind, as the saying goes, you know. And you know, in the just energy transition, there's the just there, it's exactly that, no one left behind, meaning as we are transitioning, you know, in terms of economics, environment, you know, we have to factor in all those factors as you are transitioning, such that you do not disadvantage people, environment, you know, or even the technologies themselves, because a lot of times when you hear just energy transition, it's mostly centered around moving away from coal, you know. But that's if you read exactly into the documents, that's not exactly what it means. It's just transitioning to cleaner energy sources, and in that transitioning, you consider clean coal technologies, you know. So it's not exactly moving away from coal, but it's just integrating clean coal technologies, you know. So and that is one of the take homes that I actually got in terms of the speakers elaborating. But I think the key highlight for me, we had ESCOM giving a presentation. It's their jet office, the ESCOM's jet. They've got an office, jet office. I even got to learn that they actually have an internal jet office, you know, just driving the machinery for transitioning, you know. You know, it was an interesting talk, and you know, to some extent, I felt sorry for the speaker there, because you know the questions, you know, because so it was an interesting talk, I must say. You know, I was tempted to ask some questions also, but you know, people were asking questions there. So, but you know, just to reflect on that talk, because it was, I think, for me, one of the key highlights for the day. You know. Especially considering that ESCOM is our sole electricity provider, you know. So when they talk jet for the country, you know, because even in terms of legislation up until now, the mandate is with ESCOM, you know. So when they talk, you listen, you know. So in terms of their talk, they did center around their plans to achieve the just energy transition. A lot of the debates centered around the decommissioning of their coal fleet, you know, and replacing it primarily with renewable energy sources, which is your solar PV and your wind turbines, you know. And you know, there was some talk of nuclear, but you did not generally get direct talk that we are saying yes to nuclear. The commitment there, you know. But also a lot of the talk also was centered around, based on what we have as the IRP for the country, you know, in terms of what the IRP pronounces, you know. If you go to IRP 2019, you know, there's that aggressive push for solar and wind, you know. So even on the graphs that they had, you know, in terms of the projections, you know, we had the projections, coal fleets going down and the renewables going up, you know. Then you have a nuclear kind of a baseline, you know, like we are moving but we're not moving, you know. So but
there's no any upward.
Nah.
Yeah, so
According to the graphs, it did not
You know,
show any
so-
sort of growth in terms of media.
Yeah.
Because it was just based at, from the different years or the past years that I've passed. There was a 4%, 3%, there was a 4% and a 5%, and then back to the 4% of the nuclear energy only being featured into the jet. So that was pretty much it.
So what I think that's exactly what also prompted a lot of engagement, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
yesterday, because you see kind of a stagnation in that sense, you know. But more so, we had a number of talks. On the last episode, we spoke about reactors.
Yeah.
We spoke about PWRs. We spoke about SMRs, you know. A lot of the talks also, they centered around such technologies, especially SMRs, in terms of SMRs having a future in the just energy transition, you know. ESCOM did speak about that in terms of them exploring SMRs, you know. They are involved in SMR developments locally and internationally, you know. And we also had some talks, especially the regulator, just detailing their readiness in terms of regulating SMRs, you know. Because as you know, SMRs, the new kid on the block, you know. So there's not a lot of precedence in terms of regulations and all that, you know. So even for the regulator, you know, they are still learning, they are still researching in terms of formulating regulations, you know. But you know, there's some background work going into, and the most important take home when the regulator spoke was that you know, since South Africa embarked on the PBMR project back then, you know, there was some research there, you know, so they're not starting from scratch, you know, they're not starting from scratch. So there was some research done there. The regulator has some guidance documents, you know, they have some position papers on SMRs, you know. So just to, you know, refresh that, reflect on the new knowledge that is out there now, you know.
The IEA is also doing quite a lot of work when it comes to SMRs regulation, because there's that similarity between, I don't know whether there's any similarity, but the regulations are well formulated when it comes to well-established reactors. So maybe we can adequately say the regulator is moving with the times. You know, as we are moving into the SMR space, they are also picking up on that to say we need to develop our own regulations on that.
No, that is true. I mean, there's a lot of collaboration, even with ESCOM, with the international community, because it's not only our struggle as South Africa, you know. SMRs, they are new to everyone, you know. And the interesting also, I got to learn that there are a number of SMRs that are in the market, whether at pilot scale, you know. So there's a lot of development. I mean, I got to learn that there are over 70 designs of SMRs. There are over 70
brand new design cars.
You know, there are over 70 designs, you know, out there, you know, some of them being early development stage, some of them advanced, you know, some of them commissioned, some of them under commission, you know, some of them are operating, you know, proof of concept, you know. So, you know, there's a whole lot of work going on with SMRs, you know. And also, there was a talk of the advantages of SMRs is rapid dispatchability, you know, being mobile. You can have them onshore, you can have them offshore, you can have them deployed at remote areas, you know. So, because a lot of times when you hear the talks of new nuclear, you hear talks of long lead times, you know. You hear 7 to 10 year deployment, you know. With SMRs, you can have the time cut in half, you know, in terms of rapid dispatchability, you know. So you hear a lot of times talks of lead time, but you have this new kid on the block, you know, major advantages, you know. And also, it's something that I was not familiar with, but the SMRs, you have some of them, their refueling period is 3 years.
3 years.
So they can operate for 3 years without a refueling a cycle.
Giving a car like that. Fill it up for the next 3 years.
Yeah,
For the next 3 years,
so this essentially guarantees you sustainability and efficiency. Yeah.
You know,
So imagine a remote area being able to access power for 3 years without any interruptions. That
3 year
is
cycle.
major growth.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah,
super major.
that is pivotal.
so you see,
Yeah.
It is end of load shedding.
so
Just to add to what Udo was saying, what I picked up is with regards to
As far, I think it's far.
What I also picked up, just to add on the conversation, is the fact that when you look at these projects, especially concerning SMRs, you know, the companies that are undertaking these major projects are not doing them, you know, on their own. They receive a lot of government backing, and you know, the countries understand the need, you know, based on the deployability, as Buddha has already said it, and based on individual country energy needs. So for me, I'd like to see a conversation happening around, you know, government being sort of deliberate in terms of supporting such programs, and you know, let's just see where it can take us. I mean, we've done it with the PBMR. It's not like it's a first of a kind in a way, but if you get deliberate support in terms of government and actually bringing forth the benefits of such SMRs, I mean, we can go a long way in terms of that. But without that support, you know, we have another PBMR story again.
yeah, we also had a presentation from the NRADI, which is our Radioactive Waste Disposal Institute, and I think it's also an important presentation, you know, because a lot of times when you hear the talks of new nuclear, they always bring the issue of waste, you know, in terms of we still have this challenge of waste management, you know, how do you handle your waste, you know. So it's an important talk. We had that talk, you know, detailing the institute's projects, future plans in terms of handling the country's waste, whether existing waste or potential waste, you know. So, you know, there's a number of projects that the institute is embarking on, aimed at, you know, addressing the issue of waste, you know. So in general, you know, I think one of our first episodes we did touch on the nuclear fuel cycle, you know, but a lot of times we talk of the front end, which is the power generation. Then you have the back end now, which is the back end as in, you know, where now after power generation you have that waste, you know.
Management of
So
it.
now the management of that waste, it's an important discussion also, you know, because there are solutions existing, you know. We hear talks of storage of waste on site, storage of waste off-site, you know, and ultimately there's an internationally accepted consensus that ultimately we have these deep geological repositories where you have your long-term storage of waste, you know. They did speak on that.
Yeah, I've got a question though. And my question is probably, I can't say it's controversial, but it's a question that talks to the topic. And the topic is just energy transition. I think as you're mentioning, it's just energy transition. So from how I've observed, and I think there was a question from the gentleman who was coming from the organization. He asked about how do we take into consideration things like your I want to put it in a mildly way, you know, in a very gentle way. How do you take into account the factors that you have to consider other being inclusive? How do you consider the inclusivity of other, like I think you mentioned, the just energy transition talks about inclusivity and not just only a few people. So now I think it goes to that point to say these projects that have been spoken about, the SMRs, the Kubex, the what's the other one, the projects that Nradi is doing. How do you see inclusivity in there? Because I'm just putting it out there to say, if somebody was to ask, how do you see JET playing a role, or let's say with JET or without a JET, how do you see those projects? If let's say you were to put a lens, JET, so what do you see in terms of these projects? If we were to remove the JET lens, what do you see afterwards? You get what I'm saying? And I think he asked around the policy question when I think there was a presenter. I think he was presenting on policy formulation and how policy how inclusivity has to be incorporated into policy itself as you develop it, so that the outcomes of it does translate into JET. So I'm not sure if maybe any of the speakers you saw that in their I don't know. I'm just asking. You know what I mean? I think it's quite a tricky one, but maybe it's something that we can ponder upon as we go through the days. What actually happened? You know what I mean? So
yeah. Well, for me, I did not actually get. The speakers, they did not exactly explicitly touch on that. I did not get a lot of that in terms of the talk, but however, also I kind of understand, because for the country itself, the policy development of the just energy transition policy, it's at a high level, office of the president, so it's kind of far from the ground. I can see, we only hear the outcomes of it. We hear the outcomes of it. So, and that exactly talks to the inclusivity now, to say how inclusive it is if we are not part of the debate. And also, I think we have this document. It's called, I think, the National Treasury document. It's a policy document. It's the Just Energy Transition Taxonomy document. Which it's a document developed by the National Treasury in collaboration with other international organizations, but I think it was published first 2020, and also last year we had another draft document, but I never really got to see consultation on the ground, whether at the professional level or community engagement. To my knowledge, I never saw any engagement in that space. I might be wrong. There might have been some consultations, but I never really saw it, whether in the public domain, or in social media platforms, because, to some extent, as professionals in the energy space, you would be exposed to such debates, even if you don't participate. But so I did not really see much of that engagement. But we have the document there. It's existing. It's a quite involved document. On the financial aspects, because there are a lot of commitments, especially at the recent COP27. We had a lot of financial commitments to the just energy transition by institutions like your World Bank, the European guys, a lot of commitments there to say, yes, we support South Africa, implementing the just energy transition. So a lot of times it's a high level talk, at a high level offices, in terms of not at the ground level, especially now. The big question is, where is the involvement of youth in such talks, and I think part of the theme of this event, of the summit, is also, it was a talk around that, opportunities for youth, involvement of youth, so in general, I think that element was missing, the policy direction, because in terms of the policy, it's handled elsewhere, high level. So I think that is why I'm saying I did not hear it, but I also don't blame the speakers, because they don't sit in these high offices also, so you can only talk within what's in your umbrage level, you know, what's in your area of expertise, you know. Yeah. But in general, my take home, you know, I did learn a lot, but you know, especially reflecting on the presentation from ESCOM, and there was one of the questions was the involvement of nuclear professionals at the JET office, you know. And I got to learn that they don't have any nuclear scientists or engineers at the JET office, you know. So then you ask yourself, what is JET about that? What is just about that? You know,
It's not gonna be neutral.
the views, you know, because
it's not even a just.
ultimately it's the debate of its ideas, you know. And also we when you talk JET, we must not be pitting one technology against the other, you know, which is what you see a lot of lobby groups doing, you know, trying to pit one technology against the other, you know. The just is that have all the technologies, you know, contributing to the transition, you know. So it's not this technology taking over another or trumping another, you know. Because a lot of times the debate also, in terms of yesterday, it was the transition from coal and the implications to the communities, you know, especially there in Mpumalanga, you know. The
power station.
I think there are three main power stations.
Camden and
Komati, Camden and Grootvlei, you know.
Yes, Grootvlei,
So they decommissioned them from 2024 to 2027. So, you know, so that is very soon, you know. So there was a talk around what are the plans to transition the workers now, the workforce, you know, because you are transitioning the technology, but what about the workers? What about the communities, you know? Because the dependence of those communities, they are 100% dependent on coal, you know, from mining up to the power station, you know. So there's a whole value chain, you know, that has to be taken care of, you know. So the talk was about now how do you transition the workers, you know, and there were numbers that were put there by ESCOM, you know, and the audience did engage those numbers, you know. They were very ambitious numbers in terms of reskilling, you know, retraining, very ambitious numbers, you know.
But I had a different view. I think there was a talk today. Maybe let's finish the yesterday's ones and then we'll come to today's one.
But I think in summary that was the talk, you know. But primarily yesterday we were focused on the power applications of nuclear, basically, which is different to today's discussion, you know. But
just to add on to that, not to enter your mouth, especially when it came to the employment part and having to either reskill, or are you upskilling, or are you then now employing new people, especially in terms of the
I'm gonna do this and be ambitious.
being ambitious.
and in terms of the employment rate, as Booth has said, they look very ambitious. I will not also lie, because I was really surprised. But then it brings about the question that if we are moving to a different technology for power production, and we are phasing away from coal or the generation of power via coal, what it then means is that you'll be using new technologies. Essentially, it might at some point mean that the skills that were required to run or to be in the production line of coal-powered stations, it's different. So when you say you are reskilling or you are upskilling, in terms of, for example, just a small example, yes, you can use certain people like your artisans and certain skills that can easily be transferred from one company from one technology to another.
Some of them are specialized.
Some of them are definitely specialized. And in terms of nuclear, if you don't have the nuclear basics or the nuclear safety aspects or something that relates you to nuclear, it becomes very difficult for you to move people from that aspect, like your coal, to nuclear. And then it essentially means that there is a need now for more people, or rather new skills from the nuclear sector to be funneled into the nuclear space. So in terms of the numbers that were projected about granting new employment and having to now look for opportunities for the old guys from the different technology, it's a bit sketchy because it doesn't really balance off. It will be troublesome, that's for sure, but I don't know how they are dealing, how they're planning on to phasing them into a different
you
field.
raised an interesting story.
Did I?
Yeah, the reskilling part, where you're saying if you take this skill base saga code and you take it to nuclear,
Yeah.
it may not necessarily be 100% translation from
Yeah.
the one to the other. Somebody might also say, well, are you then saying nuclear is special? You know, somebody can come with that argument to say, oh, so now, and then which brings the thought of, I think one of the talks today was about experts, you know. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. So which I support, by the way.
Which part do you support?
The expert part.
Okay.
Yes. So but now the issue is, how do you balance the two? To say, somebody saying, well, if I reskill, it's easy to reskill, but it may not necessarily be, as you were saying, 100% movement. In fact, there'll be probably a whole lot more that you can't reskill, but that you have to start from a new pool
Yeah.
altogether.
Yeah.
That is channeled from nuclear side, you know. Isn't it going to maybe then talk to the very same issue of saying, well, in any case, it means there'll be job exodus or whatever you can call it, because those people can't be skilled into nuclear. Therefore, the only option they have is no job. Something like that. I don't know if it makes sense what I'm saying.
I think I hear you,
Yeah.
ne? And I would just like to add to the fact that with any technology, it's a special technology. It requires special expertise.
Yeah.
So essentially, even if you move people from your core base companies or production line and then funnel them into solar, you need certain expertise to actually know or to actually operate that solar plant. So at some point somebody must cry, unfortunately. And
not quantum mechanics though, because not the scientific one, but the mechanics of quantum can fix enter, they can fix the water Corolla.
Yeah, but you know,
But
me, you know, I have my personal reservations on the reskilling aspects, because you kind of assume that you can reskill everyone. You know.
Check it out.
You know, you kind of assume that you can reskill everyone. I always see numbers being projected. And at times, in terms of the net jobs, it's always positive, in the sense that in the whole transition, you will transition everyone. You know, you'll transition everyone. You know, and being realistic, I really don't think it's the case. You know, I really
you say they are being ambitious.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That
Ambitious
there were numbers projected, very ambitious numbers, but on the practicality aspects, you know, especially transitioning from coal to renewables, you know, and I think today, even yesterday, there were some speakers, audiences who reflected to see when they visited a wind farm, there was only a security guard there, you know.
Yeah.
There was only a security guard there, you know. So,
Which essentially means
which
what?
which essentially means on the operation aspects, you know. Yes, you can make an argument on the construction, maybe there, but even when you look at the construction, you know,
But it's a short amount
There's
of
an-
time.
it's a short amount of time and
There's
it's not
probably
much
less-
involved.
yes.
Also, you see. So yes, you can talk jobs, short-term jobs, but the argument was long-term now. You know, whether it's a wind farm, it's a it's a solar farm.
Yeah.
You know, you have at times people working remotely, only when there's time for maintenance, that's when you can have 1 or 2 artisans or engineers there, So now, which is not enough,
They can even cut costs and bring only 1 artisan.
Oh yes.
So
Yes. So now on that transition now, when you are reskilling, you are reskilling people to be contractors for construction, or are you reskilling people to be artisans, engineers for maintenance for those plants? Then when you look at the numbers, when a coal power station is in operation, you have hundreds of engineers, artisans every day, every day within the plant. But when you are operating a wind farm, when on operation, you only have 1 person, and and also, a lot of times also with nowadays technology, you can even have cameras there and not have anyone there. You can have just people monitoring cameras.
It's what they
technology.
said today, I think.
With the advancement of technology, you can be remotely there, in my room, just peeping the camera there. Hey, what's happening? There's an alarm. It's a bed. Whatnot. So that is my reservation now to say, if you're talking the transition, the reskilling, and you are saying you can fully transition everyone, I have my reservations there.
It's a Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Yeah.
Take us through today's. You're not interested.
Take us through today's. She's gonna take us through today's. That's not even an argument. She was the one who was listening.
What your highlights?
Yeah. But for me, I was going to say, in terms of what Zbuda was highlighting and paying, in terms of the numbers that they were projecting there, what would have been interesting for me is to contrast those numbers with possibly repurposing, that plant with an SMR, and see, what the numbers in terms of job allocations would have been throughout the phases, just to see, what the net jobs were going to be, if the technology was different. But we got a very interesting answer when it came to, how the money was allocated for the researches for the type of technologies that the World Bank actually wanted those people to focus on. So nuclear was undoubtedly removed because of obvious reasons. But for me, just to, as an advocate for nuclear, I think we've seen the spin-offs, especially in towns where there was nothing first, and then you get a power plant going there. For the next 60 years, there's benefit to the town. So I would have liked to see that contrast, as opposed to them just saying you're gonna save 200 and something jobs, 200 and something thousand jobs, but they're gonna fall off during operation, and they don't even tell you what's the net job loss. They're just letting you know while we are constructing, and then so I would have, and look, for nuclear, it's not even your blue collar type of jobs only. It's all around the clock. You get your managers, your engineers, your whoever. So everybody really has a role to play in terms of the economy. The community that surrounds a nuclear reactor like that. So I felt like, yes. So I felt like the talk was more tilted to us being sold this idea of renewables being able to be launched in a shorter space of time. But when you think about it long term, what are you really doing? Because you have 200,000 people losing jobs, and then you can't promise the same level of security going beyond the 2 years that you're gonna spend constructing this thing. So for me, it didn't make sense. And the idea that the Jet Office has everybody but a nuclear physicist actually telling them what are the possibilities when you introduce this type of technology wasn't really fair for me. So I think ESCOM really needs to go back to the drawing board and just do the calculations and see, what's the worst that can happen. I'm not saying ESCOM is not in support of nuclear, otherwise we wouldn't have Quebec. But now why is Kube, I mean, that type of technology being left out of the conversation when the policy actually supports it is what I don't get. So that's my 2 cents there.
Yeah, I think it's quite interesting, and probably I would say it's views that are based on of what ESCOM has really shown us in terms of numbers. One could say it's a skewed picture because is not reflective. So that you wonder what the outcome thereof will be if it's not as inclusive as possible. So then maybe the jet will not be achievable in terms of being or the effectiveness of achieving that may be a bit of a challenge. Yeah. No, I think that's very true. I think today is also, there was very interesting topics around. Yeah, no, of course, no. I'm launching the pad for you.
Oh, okay. So you can start then.
No, that's what I was saying. Like, no, it's fine. No, I was saying like today's topics were quite interesting. We spoke about, or they presented, the presenters, about non-power applications. I think the morning presentations were about non-power applications. There was quite a lot. There was quite a lot, really. It looks to me that the non-power actually it is so much that it's not put out there. Like, I feel like there's a whole range of applications. Like, it's unbelievable. Like, it's like going into a shop, basically getting a grocery, and you don't know what to buy. That's yeah. So I guess that's possibly what we can reflect on, Penny.
Okay, so today, what essentially stood out for me in terms of the non-power applications for nuclear, that really it gave me a bigger picture as to the possibilities and the options that we actually have out there. For number one, I remember the Rosatom presentations where they presented on the different reactors that they can actually offer you, and the different applications that you could also get out of them. And one interesting one was a reactor where they call them River. It's what I something like innovative.
River 1, River Pro.
Yeah.
River 0 or what was it?
River Medicine, River. There's one that you can use for agricultural purposes and your irradiations for food and stuff.
We could have something like that. Call it Noka something. Noka
Reef. So that part actually interested me, that you can actually have the option to opt for a reactor that is solely for a certain aspect that you are essentially focusing, or the nation would be focusing on. For example, the one that I mentioned for agricultural purposes, like irradiating your food sources, or in terms of trying to kill off these pests that you could find, or genetically modifying crops for food security, food safety and such. Is also another reactor that they mentioned. I think it's reactor for is it nuclear medicine? I'm not sure what it's called, but it's for medicine and diagnostics and treatment. I'm not sure. I don't know which river it is.
I think between 1 and 4.
No, I think it's their concept. It's River 1. Like,
it's just a nomenclature.
Yeah, it's pretty much that. Yes.
Then also the difference was on the beam. It's with the electron beam.
Yes.
Gamma ray. So it's the concept is the river. Then based on the application now,
it has a certain name.
The type of reactor
that they use,
that you choose. It dictates, or what is dictated by the applications
that you would have chosen.
Whether you want to do food irradiation.
So these are dedicated reactors.
Yes. Essentially they are.
It's based on the need.
So that part was very interesting for me. And then there was another. Also interesting, actually, anything that I'm going to mention, it was something that was captivating towards my interest. So another guy called Tabo made a very interesting presentations about the SIT.
Well, I thought you were going to say you were interested in Tabo.
The Kotaki.
You should actually tell us where he gets his quotas. anyway, so what was that? Oh, the SIT technique, or is it research rather? I think it stands for sterilization insect technique. Yeah.
Sterile insect.
Yeah.
Technique, yeah. So essentially what happens is that, from what I understood from their presentation, is that they are trying to sterilize male mosquitoes that essentially lessens the population for the the mosquitoes that would essentially transmit malaria.
Yeah.
So what they do is that they I think they target a certain gene on the male.
We called it the sexing gene.
Yes.
Yes. Is it the sexy gene?
The sexing
Oh, sex.
or the sex gene, or as we call it, the 23rd chromosome,
Production gene.
the reproduction
Yes.
gene. Yes.
Okay.
So essentially they target that and render the male sterile. Therefore, when they do mate with the females, when the females essentially lay the eggs,
Yeah.
the eggs never hatch because essentially sterilization.
Yeah.
Which means that it brings down the population, which means it brings down the cases that would essentially occur if there were malaria infected people or malaria infected mosquitoes. So
Why
that
did
was.
you say males don't bite? Why can't you mention that?
Look, I have my reservations about saying that line because mina, from my knowledge, all mosquitoes will bite you. What I do know is that what is it?
Not like female ones.
Yeah, no, the people.
Bite
No,
more.
everybody bites.
Yeah, no,
They are the noisy ones.
No, you guys, no, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. Everybody's
when you're
noisy.
sleeping and you have a mosquito,
You know it's a female.
Female one.
Alright, guys, please. I'm an advocate for females
But
here.
even
You know,
if,
that's why.
even if the male bites, but they don't make
see?
noise.
Ah,
You
please.
see why I like Setswana, ne? Because
Sorry.
I think Setswana is very accurate when it comes to mosquitoes.
Sorry.
They say there's a what do we call? You see, I mean, these mosquitoes are female, and what do they eat? They eat your blood, right? So what is blood in Setswana?
Mamadi.
And what is Madiga's Setswana? Imal. So
You know what? I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna say anything.
I was just bringing it across, by the way. It makes
I mean,
sense,
it's
right?
nice to have some money, ne?
But I'm sure words come from somewhere, Penny. You don't just create words, Jay.
No, but that line comes from takes, man. Kidi Mamadi.
Okay, but let's
Even mosquitoes.
yeah, I mean,
But it's anyway, we are very off topic.
It's fine. It's fine.
Ah, my goodness. But also, since when are you talking about idioms and stuff and whatever?
Yeah.
But you do know that they say the empty tin makes the loudest. In this case, if the male does not bite, it's the one that is making the noise. So please,
no,
so please,
no.
at least we have consensus. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Anyway.
this you must choose your battles, right?
Thank you. And this is one you are not winning. So for the SIT, I think I've essentially explained the objective is that they're trying to reduce cases for malaria or the transmission of malaria. But I just wanted to also add that, especially on the point that you said, apparently it was said that male mosquitoes do not bite.
Yeah.
But what I do know.
Said it, not I.
Tabo should probably come and correct himself or clarify. No, not correct. Clarify. We need to understand better.
Yeah.
What I do know that is specific to female mosquitoes is that they are the ones that carry the
malaria.
pathogen or the malaria bacteria, the malaria virus.
Yeah,
So that would be the one thing that sets them aside from the the male mosquitoes. So that's what I know.
yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah, and then another presentation that was made that was an eye-opener was from the DMRE.
Oh,
the Department of Mineral Resources when they were just letting us know of all the events that do take place. Apart from that, there's also programs that one can actually enroll for. For example, if you want to pursue your master's degree, you could easily just find out what happens there, but essentially you could go study for a certain project or a program that they do offer, and essentially undertake your studies in a different country in a specified specified subject or research, specified research that you would be interested in. And they also offer fellowships, PhD fellowships, where you could do your primary research in South Africa and then do your main research project in another country. And then other than that, there are just a lot of programs that they do offer, like for instance the Nuclear Energy Management School. Yes, apparently it's going to be held again this year in November. They also offer and this is also in conjunction with the IAEA, which is the International Atomic Energy Agency. So there's that. There were a couple of events that were essentially listed, and if you do want to find out, I guess get in touch with the Nuclear Liaison Office in the DMRE, because I don't think they offered or they stipulated any communication line.
Through communication.
But the events, if you go to the IEA website,
you should be able to. That does help. That does help.
So you can then earmark what you'd be interested in, and you can try and get contact with the national
with the office. So that was pretty much what stood out for me, honestly. So
starting you.
The one that doesn't bite.
What's the worst? If they were said to choose your battles between mosquito and a fly.
Just. Look, I'm a light sleeper, so and I get very grumpy.
When the female mosquitoes.
When the mosquitoes, I don't say female.
Female one.
It's fine. No, the loudest ones are the males.
It's probably the snake.
The loudest tin. But
it doesn't make sense. Between inhuman, but I think maybe I'm going off topic. I was going to say within human being species, which group is louder than the other?
Males.
No, but
males are the loudest. Do you watch National Geographic?
Who's talkative more than the other?
Males.
What do you mean?
Annoying.
We are talkative? We are not.
Not even loud, annoying.
I don't know.
Who talks a lot?
Women.
So
are they annoying?
No, I didn't.
Would you rather have silence?
Yeah.
Would you rather have silence?
Look, when there's load shedding, I think there's a bit of peace. I'm not saying.
Are you suggesting?
No. You see,
Let's take it there.
Yeah.
Are you suggesting that during the COVID lockdown?
What I'm suggesting.
Listen. Are you suggesting that during the COVID lockdown, when everybody now had to be in the house, that is the reason why some marriages actually collapsed?
Look,
because now they had to endure.
I have to go to State SA to confirm that. that is not something.
But it's a possibility.
You're running. You are running.
It's a possibility, Imagine 24/7. At least you have an excuse. You go to work. You go to chill with the gents. Now you have no choice but to listen.
Come on.
I still think it's men. Men were just so disconnected from the house life, because they spend so much time
because we have.
What is the reason?
You are running away. You have to.
We have to hustle.
Anyway, let's bury that subject.
Every day I'm hustling.
Let's bury that subject. I am fine with it.
Wow.
Yeah, but I think also just to reflect on today's non-power applications talk. There was an interesting talk. There was an interesting talk in terms of the applications of nuclear non-power applications. There are applications in the water sector, in the environment, in the health, agriculture, the foodstuffs, So it's a very diverse portfolio, it's a very diverse portfolio.
That's why I was saying it's so interesting that there's a wide range of applications.
It's a gem, it's a gem, which also I think as a country we are not doing justice in terms of advocacy now. Awareness in terms of yes, we have the prominent power application, but we have so much more that you can offer for society as a whole. I mean, in terms of South Africa, we have an issue, water scarcity, food security, so in terms of those sectors alone, the impact there, in terms of water and food, it's an issue. We are a poor country, we are a poor country, literally and figuratively, and as much as we can have the ocean and stuff, but we are still a water scarce country, a lot of times. It's a lot of cost, so a number of applications of radioisotopes in terms of groundwater, in terms of agriculture, as you mentioned, you can have some radiation there, even for foodstuffs, for long shelf life, to get rid of insects, unwanted insects, so the applicability of non-power applications of nuclear there, they are very vast, so it was one of the takeaways from today's talk, but generally we are not doing justice in terms of advocating for the non-power applications, because they apply in a lot of sectors,
even for everyday things, like for instance just the use of radiation for the sterilization of medical equipment. That is very key, because imagine how many surgeries are taking place on a daily. So that is key. So it's just pointing out that we need to just do more and speak more for the application of nuclear and non-power applications.
Yeah, that is true also. And the other interesting one, it's more on the health side, yes, starting with sterilizing of surgical equipment, it's a big thing, having sterile equipment, whether for surgery, for your catheters, also your prosthesis, so, but also the applications in terms of diagnostic and treatment, you have radioisotopes that you can use to diagnose certain conditions, then you can also use radiation to treat cancer, which is even for the country itself, cancer is one of the leading causes of death for the country, and to some extent, someone who suffers from cancer, whether breast cancer or prostate cancer, so you have any other cancer, yes, but generally, because in terms of statistics, breast cancer and prostate cancer, are the leading causes, so in terms of having applicability there, it's a very big issue for the country, in terms of cancer treatment, so I mean, those are the things that we should be elevating, in terms of communicating that message that yes, nuclear medicine, nuclear techniques applied there.
A side note, for somebody who's probably interested out there, especially while we are talking about cancer, is that one way you can see how important the use of nuclear energy is by the fact that when somebody has gotten to a point of stage 4, which is categorized as metastasized cancers, which means it has spread to other organs in your body. That point is very difficult to treat somebody or to to essentially eradicate the cancer. So what they do use is that they use strontium 90, which is used in palliative treatment. This is for just to ease the pain. So it is something to just think about, that even in times of so much agony, when somebody's going through so much agony while dealing with cancer, nuclear energy is there. It's actually there to just get you through, or just make the last bit of your life a bit comfortable. It's not comfortable, but it's just a bit livable. So it's just a little side note to just note
Prove
there.
the quality of life.
Yeah, to some extent, but yes, that would be the idea.
I think that's where the peaceful use application comes from.
You say,
That itself, you can consider it as a peaceful thing, you know.
It is.
I guess,
It is. Yeah, it is.
Why you doing this? Why you doing this to me?
What?
Yeah.
Why are you violent? Why are you violent? Why are you raising your hand at the woman? GBZ,
No, I was
guys.
doing this.
GBZ.
No, Pinyo, I'm doing this.
I saw you.
No,
Anyway.
I was. Let's just try and.
Can I quickly? They are calling me there. Can I quickly?
What's happening?
I think they are voting.
Oh.
I need for proxy.
Oh. Okay. That's fine. Yeah, we're still friends. Okay, what I think about the whole summit, I think it was necessary. That's one. The necessity comes in where, if you look at the broader scale in terms of where things are at the moment, one would say there's a whole need, or there's a more, how do you say it? There's there's more of a need. Does it make sense?
I mean, yeah.
There's okay.
It's not English.
If we okay, let me put it this way. Let me rather put it this way. Talking about the current issues, we've seen how the space in terms of the energy issues that one would say it's challenges in the energy in the country. It sort of prompts us to obviously talk about, or for energy issues to trend. Let me rather put it in that way. So if something trends, most likely we'll talk about it. So I believe this summit was almost something bound to happen. Perhaps maybe it was within the normal schedule of SAYNPS, but it sort of drawn, and I understood from what they were saying, especially Vel in the last episode, he spoke about the need for inclusion, and which is the topic that they are talking about in this summit, and that all of that information they are going to compress it and put it together into some form of a plan of some sort, how they're going to push their agendas, whilst of especially when it comes to just energy transition, and how the youth can be involved in particular, because they represent SAYNPS. So that in itself, I believe it's a step in the right direction within this whole topic of just energy transition. So I'm happy to be to have been part of the summit. I've learned quite a lot from all aspects, from power generation to waste management to applications and power and non-power applications. So all of these things, as I understand, and all of these topics, they will help SAYNPS to map out a path in terms of how they envisage to achieve their vision through implementation of such a plan. And I think the next, and I think now is Buddha, you just went in for the elections, so we hope that the next incoming committee will take this action from the plan that they will develop and implement it for the sake of the youth. I think that's the main thing. So I think it was quite interesting, and also I think we got to also understand how important communication is, and how it helps to drive the influence of policy in such a way that whatever that government decides, or whatever companies that enable government to progress, make decisions or implement those decisions, then they are done with the intention of inclusivity, with the intention. I mean, we spoke about all of these stats about whatever the unemployment and whatever, all these things, or even moving from coal to renewables or newer technologies. All of these, if you don't do them by moving together, then we might end up with a society that's so much divided. And you can imagine if a society is divided because of energy poverty, I think that's the worst form. And we don't know, the historians will explain what then happens to you. Sometimes they say there's a revolution, there's what and what, but we don't want to get to those points. We need to tackle the issues now as we see them, and if we have to come up with technologies that are going to assist us, and I think nuclear is providing us with those solutions to say, hey, I'm here, that's nuclear, why not, you know what I mean? So I think that's in a nutshell what we can take from the event itself. I think it was exciting. It was quite exciting. Yeah.
Refreshing too.
Yeah.
In my case, I was more intrigued by the research opportunities that actually out there, and because at me being me and where I'm at in life, I tend to want to focus on the next step in my career, which is just getting my foot essentially into the industry. Yes, my foot is there, but I feel like there's more that I could explore in terms of research purposes or research programs that I could enroll with. Also, if there needs be, I might still be interested in school. So having that knowledge that even if I do choose to go to school, for instance, there was some time ago they posted a scholarship, a King's scholarship, and you had a variety of programs to just choose from. And knowing, just judging from the program that you said you would actually be interested in, which is on decommissioning, and if you already know that aspect, you already know that you can have a firm foot. You are somewhat guaranteed that in the long run, one of the reactors that we do have here, either be it the Nexa reactor or the Quebec reactor, it will need to be decommissioned at some point, which means that there will be a need for such skills to be implemented. So yeah, that just knowing that there are opportunities for you to firmly affirm yourself in the later stage, it is something that really excites me, because for the longest time it has always been a somewhat closed off industry. So just by exploring that option, you know that 10-20 years I'm there. So yeah, that's pretty much my take from it.
Okay, they're still voting. Okay. So voting is still taking place. So we hope that we'll hear about the new leadership, and we'll probably talk about it in the next episode. And I think we were almost closing up.
But I think in general, I also got to learn a lot, in terms of JET, in terms of what the youth can do, the role that they can play, So yeah, I think my take home, and even in terms of the information that we got. Yeah, the colleagues are voting. But I think in general, in short, that's exactly what is my take home also. The youth must be involved. Yeah. So I think we just go and vote, and then
Energy ain't gonna be bad. Doing the most. Minerals for the Honorary to the technology, society, public. I want you to learn that this energy ain't gonna be fair, gonna be fair. Gonna be giving your energy, podcast, hella kiss. Young Hazard, this hella kiss, energy, my K shit.